Yeah, the conversation between Rack and Del is very intense. Rack and Del.
Is that what it says? Rack and Del? Bum and Rack.
I'd like to get you on a slow boat to China.
Hello and welcome back to Long Live Hooky Street, the podcast where we rewatch and discuss every episode of Britain's most beloved TV comedy, Only Fools and Horses. I'm Heather and I'm joined from Denver, Colorado by my co-host and sister, Jenny. Say hello, dude.
Hello.
Today we are doing part 2 of the 1988 Christmas special, Dates. So grab a rum and black, and let's get started. So we're going to pick back up where we left off in part 1, which was Del and Raquel meeting under the clock at Waterloo and walking off. So Del and Raquel have just left Waterloo Station and we are back with Rodney and Nerys. And they are now on a dual carriageway. And I said or a motorway, but you said it in part 1, I think, that it was a dual carriageway.
Yes.
So Rodney is attempting to keep up the cool guy act.
I always thought you were such a quiet person.
They're the ones you got to watch, Nerys. I've lived in these streets too long to be frightened. This is my jungle, and I'm at the top of the tree.
At which point, Rodney spots the car that pulled out in front of them earlier, following him and Nerys, and he begins to speed up.
Why are we going so fast?
I love speed.
It's interesting that Rodney does still have so much fear, and that he's not streetwise, considering that what he said is actually true, that he's lived on the streets for a long time, like he knows these streets. And again, wonder if it's because of Del always protecting him that he never really learned how to protect himself.
Even despite all of what you said of how long he's lived there and everything, I think Rodney's character is always afraid. He's such a wuss.
Yeah,
right.
True.
The only time I think that you ever see Rodney get really tough is when he hits Steven and when he's protective of the Cassandra relationship.
Yes.
All the times in the early series, including this episode, it's an act. If he is showing any kind of tough guy, it's an act. That's how I feel about it. I mean, I don't know if you can think of any examples of a time I guess, like, there's times when it looks like he's going to throw himself under the bus to protect Del, like into Hull and Back, when he's like, if there's any trouble, I want to be up there with you.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think that necessarily means he's brave. I think that just shows, like, his full family loyalty and how much he loves Del.
Yeah.
But when it comes to situations like this, like, bloody hell, he's a big bloke and all, isn't he, with Jumbo? He's afraid of, and like, yes, he knows Del's nowhere around. Del's off on his date. He's alone. He's just got Nerys, and he's got this act on, you know, he's wearing this costume almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's afraid of it. And this is a big group as well. This is not just one guy.
No, that's true. But then I would also feel I would feel safer that I have Nerys with me, because I'd be like, oh, they're not going to do anything while this woman's here. But then I don't know if maybe they would.
They would, and they seem irrational. They seem, like I say, either drunk or taking drugs to me. So
yeah,
if I were Rodney, what I would have done in this situation is I would have carried on speeding, because I love speed, and I would have driven to the nearest pub or something and got out and gone inside really quickly.
Yeah, I didn't write it for this, but I wrote it in the next note. I said, why didn't he drive to a police station?
Yeah, or something. But I guess he was just too panicked. Obviously, this is, again, we're picking apart what's supposed to be just be a comedy scene, so don't worry about it.
Oh, well. So now we go to the Hilton Hotel. Hilton. I've got to say, this dining hall looks crazy fancy. It looks like a wedding venue.
This is the Hilton Hotel.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, they were allowed to film there. Both the outside establishing shot and the restaurant is the Hilton Hotel Park Lane. So if anyone wants to know that and see what it's actually like, this is. The show is popular enough by this point that they wanted this to happen in the Hilton.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't think I've ever eaten in a restaurant that's had a live orchestra playing while people were eating. Have you, dude?
No. I mean, yeah, weddings, yeah.
Kind of music while I'm eating.
Maybe weddings.
I don't think I've even been to a wedding where someone had like a live orchestra playing during the meal.
I think I have, yeah. I've been to a lot of weddings, yeah. American weddings tend to be like, kind of, this is traditional now to have like a, string quartets and stuff. Very
posh. So Raquel is sitting alone at the table, looking very out of place and uncomfortable. She's not even really dressed posh enough to be in there. Like, I would have been mad if I was her. I'd have been like, I wanted to know we were going somewhere like this, so I could have at least tried to dress the part. I'd have felt really, like, out of place.
I feel like she is dressed up enough. I think that's just 80s clothes, because I think she's not.
Right.
Yeah, I think she looks fine. She's conservative. She's not wearing anything low cut or revealing. She's wearing black. Like, she's not. I think she's fine. Yeah, it's a daytime dinner as well.
That's true. But the only other woman I can see in the scene is the woman sitting directly behind Raquel. She's a little bit out of focus, but she's wearing like a suit jacket. So
I think
that's why
she's fine.
I thought that. But
yeah. But yeah, that's another good point. Like, you go on a date, you don't know where you're going. How are you supposed to know what to wear?
Yeah, very true. Yeah, he could have taken a paintball in for all we know. So we see Del was talking to the waiter and gave him some money, and we'll find out why that was later on. So Del comes back to the table and he goes to put his serviette into his collar, which I've got to say, I just thought that was adorable.
Yeah, that's really cute, the way that he pretends he's just
really
down
cute. Yeah. And then he remembers where he is and he puts it down on his lap. And actually, this is one of the things that I really hate about places that are considered like upper class. I know by now our regular punters are going to know how I feel about upper class stuff, but that feeling that like every single thing that you're doing is being scrutinized and judged. Now, I'm going to share a bit of a personal story here. Jenny already knows the story, but I'll tell our punters now. So one of my ex-boyfriends was pretty snobby about some things, and he had a real problem with me licking my knife in the middle of a meal. And one time we were out in Bella Italia and I licked my knife. Yeah. I licked the poshest restaurant ever.
Bella Italia
Bella
is not fancy at all.
Exactly. And I licked my knife and he literally put down his knife and fork and like looked around the restaurant to check that no one had seen me do this awful, inappropriate thing before he told me off about it. And you know, I think this is probably one of the reasons that I have such a problem with people that are like snobby about little things, because it's like, who decided that licking your knife is rude? Yeah. Who makes up these like various etiquette rules about these little things? I'd like to know, because before I dated that guy, I had never heard that licking your knife was rude. I'd heard like elbows on the table is rude and all that stuff. But again, like none of this stuff should matter. It just seems really silly. So yeah, that's maybe one of the reasons I have such an issue with this. There's my own personal thing. I just wanted to share with everyone. So maybe you understand a little bit more where my grievances come from. So Del and Raquel both go to tuck in and they both are really uncomfortable again, even about the way that they begin eating their meal. Like they're both waiting for each other to start first and like they look at each other's like plates and each other's knives and forks awkwardly. And I mean, I guess some of this could also be down to the first date nerves. But Del starts the conversation.
I'm a bit surprised to find that someone like you, attractive and talented, at a computer dating agency.
Well, I might say the same about you. A successful person, managing director of his own import-export business.
So we find out that Del has not just lied about his name, but he's also lied about his job. But again, no big surprise because we've seen him do this before. But this is a pretty big lie. So surely if he wants any kind of future with this woman, he would know that she'll find out that he was lying eventually. You spoke about this in last week's episode. But anyway, Raquel does mention that she was married before and it was a disaster. So we know that it's Slater that she's talking about. But she doesn't say that she's still married, and she is. So
That's
it's
right,
interesting she doesn't mention that. And they continue to talk, and Raquel decides to be more honest about her job as an actress. Well, a little more honest.
Well, I suppose that's what I am. I'm a member of the union, at least. I had one line in a Doctor Who about 10 years ago.
So I guess it would be very difficult to tell your date that you're a stripper at the weekends, but this is very interesting thing about show business and like acting actually in general, because certain types of performance are kind of looked down on, whereas others that are quite similar in nature actually are accepted. Like, for example, a lot of Hollywood movie stars have simulated sex scenes, right? Which I would argue could be considered more intimate than stripping down to your underwear and dancing in a pub. But one is considered like highly respectable and the other one is not.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if do you want to leave most of the stripper discussions until later in the episode when it's revealed?
I'm sure it'll come up several times. But yeah, this is just the question that I pose about like why it's not okay to tell people that you work as a stripper, or why that would be considered embarrassing.
This is why I was going to leave it till later, because I've got quite a lot of other stuff to say about it. But yeah, so if you want to discuss it now, the reason is because it's because of this time, 1988. Like, this was different. It was perceived completely differently. And you can see that from the way that all the characters react, the way that Raquel says she doesn't bloody like it, the way that she's continuously reminded over the years that she did this thing that was considered bad. Yeah, like, it's all negative around it at this time. Totally different nowadays. Completely different. But we're talking 40 years later. Yeah. This is not something that she would have been proud of. She literally just did it to make ends meet. She's even said that. She had to do it to pay her way in the world. She didn't want to go on the dole. But it isn't something that women are as ashamed of now, and it's more accepted. But yeah, it's definitely the sort of thing that she wouldn't have told Del.
But then again, sort of talking a bit more about this later, Del doesn't have a problem with strippers. I mean, he's mates with Yvonne, and again, there's like a bit of a romance hinted at there as well. So I don't know why Del would find this so weird.
That's different, though, because his feelings are stronger for Raquel, and you can see the way this...
But not now. I mean, they've only just met.
Not in this scene.
Right.
But by the time he finds out, he's practically falling in love with her, isn't he?
Yeah, by the time he finds out, I suppose it was a bit more.
It was written with the angle of John Sullivan's own view and most of the Britain, I guess, view that strippers are lower, not lower. I don't know what the best way to put it is. Like a bad job to have. Like it's not something to be proud of.
It's a degrading job to have. I think a lot of people see it that way. Yeah.
But so that's the angle it's written at. Everyone thinks that. Every character, including Raquel, thinks it's a degrading job. So it's written with that in it, inbuilt into it, which now it's not something to be ashamed of. It's something that women are very proud of now. It's an art form, It's totally okay.
Well, I mean, we went to see those pole dancers on your hen do, and they were amazing. The ones that we saw in that club in LA.
I don't know how it is in the UK, I guess, but in this country, it's definitely nothing to be ashamed of. It's not. It's something to be proud of. And there was even a movie this year, which I don't know if you've seen it, that won an Oscar, and they actually.
Oh yeah, I did see it, but the movie was really boring, I thought.
No, I mean, I thought it was a really great movie. Yeah, I mean, and not only was the movie really good, but they actually went into the environment where sex workers live their lives, and they did their research. So it's a very genuine depiction of what it's like to live as a sex worker. So it's not something to hide away anymore, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's nothing against the sex workers. I thought that movie was really dull. I watched it, and it just kept going. It just don't get going, does it? Ironically, it kept going, but didn't get going. That's the way I would say. But anyway, yes, we can talk about this more later when the reveal happens. So Raquel says that she gave everything up for 9 years when she was married. So I spoke about this in part 1, but if she's 30 now, then that means she would have been married to Roy Slater when she was very young.
So we have to assume that they haven't been separated that long. But if To Hull and Back really did happen in, was it 1985? That's 3 years, so...
I mean, it's feasible that she'd have broken up with him because he got arrested and went to prison. I mean, that could be a reason for their divorce or their separation.
So she would have had to separate from him for 27 and been married for 9 years. So she got married to him when she was 18.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only way that it could work, right? In the timeline. Yeah. So anyway, Raquel seems to be a little defeatist about her future job prospects in acting, but Del is very encouraging.
Au contraire, Raquel, au contraire. This time next year, you'll be a star.
Oh, come on.
No, she who dares wins.
I've got to say, I think it's really funny hearing Del adapt his catchphrase just for Raquel's benefit. I think that's lovely. And the problem is, though, that Del forgot he was pretending that he's a millionaire.
No matter what's happened in our lives, I've always said that to my kid brother. I said, Rodney, this time next year, we'll be millionaires.
Look at you now.
Again, this is why you shouldn't lie.
I love that part, though, because it shows that Del has almost fallen into a comfort level where he's himself, and then she has to pull him out of it for a second, and then he's like, oh, shit, I lied. So it's very sweet because it shows that he's so comfortable with her, that he's forgot that he's a millionaire in his lie.
True. Yeah, so Raquel says that there's a lovely feeling of honesty. And to be honest, even her saying that is a little dishonest because she's also kind of omitting a lie.
Yeah, she's not lying, though. She never said she wasn't a stripper, and that's true.
She wasn't a stripper. That's what I said. She's omitting.
Yeah, it's a lie of omission, but still. I mean, yes, it's not the full truth, but you don't have to tell everything truthfully. You don't have to reveal all your secrets on a first date. She's not lying about who she is the way that...
I was going to say, this is the really awkward thing, though, isn't it? Because it's on a first date, when you first meet someone, you're not expected to say everything. But then as you get closer, you don't want to tell them this big thing that might cause problems because you're already into it. And it's like, shit. So when is the right time to tell someone something that could be a problem in the relationship? If you tell them on the first date, it's like you're being too honest and too open when you don't even know this person.
But she says later in the episode that she had planned to stop doing it when she had.
Yeah.
So she never would have had to tell him. I mean, is that right or not? That's another argument. But if she was no longer doing it, does she ever really have to tell him that?
No. I mean, I don't think so.
But it's different for Del. I mean, we'll get onto it later, but if you want to compare the two lies, I do think Del's lie is way worse than Raquel's.
I think so too. No, I said that later as well. Yeah. So honestly, it's quite amazing, really, that considering how this relationship started, they ended up, stood the test of time. It's quite remarkable because usually if both people sort of lie like this or omit lies like this and then they find out the truth after they've already fallen for each other, I'd imagine that would have destroyed things.
It could have.
Not in their case.
It's so sweet because they are obviously so connected that like the fact that the disastrous beginning and they end up coming back together in such an unlikely way and the later, in its way, it's quite romantic.
Yes. So the waiter walks over.
Mr. Duval.
Yes?
I'm terribly sorry to bother you, sir. There's an important call from your New York office.
So this is what Del was paying the waiter to do earlier. He just wanted to show Raquel that she was more important than his job, his fake job anyway. Even though it's dishonest, I suppose it's quite a nice way to make someone feel special, actually, what he did here.
It worked really well.
Because I'd feel special. I'd be like, yeah. Again, like worked, implying like he wanted to get something from it. I guess he does want her to like him, but she obviously felt very special when he said that, you know? So that's nice for her to feel like that.
Yeah.
So we end the scene with Del proposing a toast to success. Any notes on that scene, dude?
Yeah, I've got quite a little few here. So I already said that it is actually the Hilton. So Chesapeake Jones said that David Jason was the one that suggested they do the fork thing where they both look at each other's hands to see how to use the forks. She said that's the kind of actor he was. For a lot of comedy actors, that wouldn't occur to them. It's just a little tiny detail. But it actually says everything about these two people in such a beautiful moment. And I thought, there and then, you really know what you're doing. Referring to David Jason. And that's what a lot of people have said, you know, about, especially like I said earlier about the sock. Yeah. David Jason was always looking for little ways, very small little details in ways to interact with the props and the set that really said a lot about the character with a tiny little maneuver.
Yeah.
And that is a really good one because it says so much that they're both so nervous, but they both really care about the impression that they give, that they're both sort of uneasy and they're both like, oh no, like, am I going to use the wrong fork? Am I going to look like... So it's really sweet.
Yeah.
The waiter was played by Nicholas Courtney, who had formerly been in 107 episodes of Doctor Who between 1965 and 1989. So that little reference was a deliberate addition to the script as a reference to Nicholas Courtney's history.
Oh, that's lovely.
In a Doctor Who. I wrote here, this is the first time we've really seen Del amend his usual behavior to impress, right? Like, he recognized quickly that he couldn't stuff the napkin into his shirt. Unlike his behavior with the Ridgemeres and Royal Flush, he's very aware of his behavior and he's trying really hard to impress Raquel and behave in a way that's in keeping with his surroundings. So this, I would argue, is one of the first signs of the maturing of the character of Del. Because, you know, he's not, I mean, I wouldn't say he's drunk in Touch of Glass. He's definitely drunk in Royal Flush. But in a lot of the scenes in Royal Flush, he's not drunk and he doesn't know that he's not behaving appropriately, like at the shoot and stuff. This is a very clear sign that he is aware that he can't just be his normal self. He even speaks more formally, doesn't he? Like, when he's speaking to Raquel and stuff. And he's more considerate and calm. Like, he is putting on an act, but it's in a different kind of way to normal. It's not so flash.
Yeah, I wish he'd had some of this consideration later in the episode.
It's true. But then the emotional hurt of what happens to him makes him break his character, for sure. So when Raquel told him that she wanted to be honest and she wasn't really an actress, that's when Del should have told the truth, in my opinion. Perfect opportunity to be like, look, you know, she lied and said she was an actress. So why not just say at this point, all right, look, I hammed it up a little bit, but now I've met you, I really, really do think that...
Well, I think that's the problem, though. Del didn't ham it up a little bit, did he?
No, he didn't.
Del completely lied as though he was like his life couldn't be more different than the one that he lied about. So, yeah.
And then my final note is, at this point, John Sullivan would have had no idea he was going to make Roy Slater Raquel's ex-husband, but what she says fits his personality really well.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it was a disaster. So, yeah, that's all I had for that scene.
So now we go to Rodney and Neris's date again, and we have the beginning of a chase scene. So Rodney is now being aggressively chased by the red car, and he is driven back into the neighborhood for some reason and not to the police station, like I said he should. And we don't see Neris at all now until the end of this sequence. So we just see Rodney's reaction to things. We see Trigger sweeping the road.
Yeah.
And Rodney zooms past being pursued. So Trigger is completely oblivious to the situation.
What's your name?
He just seems to find the whole thing pretty amusing, given his smile at the end.
Yeah, he does like this little head shake thing where he's like, oh, typical classic Dave and his mates. Yeah, I know. It's very funny.
Totally.
I just said it's important that because we have to have Trigger here to make sure that later he can be like, oh, I saw Dave the other day in the van.
So now we go back to the Hilton, and Del is lighting a post-dinner cigar. Raquel brings up the arts that Del claimed to be interested in.
Going into a theatre is so exhilarating. Just the feel of the place.
Gets me going and all. You can't whack a good play, can you?
I've got to say, some of this language that Raquel used here reminded me a little bit about Vicky, but not quite as pretentious as Vicky, because I think Raquel actually means it. So Del was quite successful in bullshitting his way through this conversation about the arts, actually. I think he did well. Raquel tells Del that she was in a singing duo called Double Cream, which is something that actually gets mentioned again in series 7 in Stage Fright.
Right, yeah.
Because she said she was in she was in that singing duo, and she didn't mind that because there was someone else there to take the blame.
I don't know about you, but I just love the works of Shaw.
Oh, yeah. Like a puppet on a string.
You're just putting me on.
So I'm assuming here that Raquel was referring to George Bernard Shaw, a playwright, and Del thought she was talking about Sandy Shaw, who won the Eurovision Song Contest with the hit song Like a Puppet on a String in 1967.
That's right,
Is that what you got, dude?
Yeah, and then also just a note about that specific exchange, like you said in Royal Flush. Like, if somebody gets something wrong like that, it's actually better to do what Raquel did and just be like, oh, yeah, no, you're having me on. Like, not like, that's from the Barber of Seville.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You can see the character difference completely.
Raquel
totally.
is so much nicer and more down to earth. And yes, I know what you mean about the artistic references being like Vicky, but Raquel's actually an artist in the theatre. She's not just someone who's like, oh, I want to go and see Carmen.
No, totally. Yeah. Or that's £85. So... So luckily for Del, the check comes over and interrupts this conversation. So that's lucky because I don't think he could have gone on much longer bullshitting about the arts. Del looks like he has a minor heart attack when he sees how much the meal costs. And I'd actually love to know how much it is. He puts down a lot of notes, but I'm not sure if they're like 20s, 10s, 50s. What do you think? How much do you think that meal would have been?
I don't know. I didn't really look at the wad of money, but I would have to. I mean, I don't know. I've eaten at fancy restaurants before.
If it's 50s, it would be way too much.
This is
so
the 80s.
20s?
Yeah, this is the 80s.
Yeah.
There's no way that was 50s. I'm going to guess the meal was probably about between 70 to £100 at the time, which would have been around 300 quid now.
Yeah.
Because it depends on what kind of drinks they had. And it doesn't necessarily suggest that they're drinking anything fancy, does it? Apart from, does he bring over the bottle? Is it wine?
I think Raquel's got wine, hasn't she?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if... I guess probably Del would buy a bottle just because...
A bottle of
but
wine...
they don't seem drunk.
A bottle of wine or champagne can vary. The meal itself,
yeah.
I mean, it can't have been more. In the 80s, it can't have been more than 20 quid for a plate, which would be about 60 quid now. I'm just going to triple everything because that seems to be about the inflation rate.
Yeah.
You wouldn't pay more than that even in those days for a meal at the Hilton. So, yeah, they're not 50s. They were 20s.
Oh, that's good then, at least. But even so, I would like to know what the total was.
Me too.
So Raquel thanks Del and invites her out on Saturday night, but she says she can't because she has drama class every Friday and Saturday night. And of course, we find out later that these are the nights that she's working as a stripper. So they arrange to meet on Monday night, and Raquel invites Del to her flat.
You don't have to worry about letting me into the flat. I'm not a pervo or anything like that.
I figured that one out.
Did you though, Raquel? Because you just met this guy for one afternoon, and he could be anybody. I would also have a little bit of an alarm go off if a guy felt the need to tell me that he's not a pervert.
It's true, but honestly...
Maybe that's just me.
The way that David Jason delivers it wouldn't raise alarm bells in me either.
Oh, yeah.
But honestly, yes. Nowadays, if I met someone and they were like, don't worry, I'm not a pervert, so I would be like, okay.
Yeah, don't have to worry about letting me into your flat. I'm not a weirdo. Yeah, exactly. I'd be like, oh my God, you are a weirdo and I shouldn't let you into my flat. That's the first thing I'd think. So yeah, we end the scene with Raquel apologising for keeping Del away from his business.
Nah, that's all right. My brother handles things when I'm not there.
Any notes on that scene before we cut to Rodney handling things?
Yeah, that cut is amazing. So yeah, we will come back to that line. Yeah, you've covered most of my notes. I just said here the importance of Del not being broke in this episode. It comes back when he has to pay for the meal.
Yes.
It reminds us that they started the episode by saying that they weren't broke because ordinarily Del wouldn't have taken a woman to a restaurant like this. And that, like I say, they deliberately...
No.
John Sullivan deliberately wrote that little bit into the beginning to make sure that wasn't a factor.
Yeah. Yes. Maybe because he had so many comments about it from a Royal Flush. That they suddenly had money in a Royal Flush to buy things and do things.
I don't think anybody cared about that with Royal Flush. I think everyone was so busy focusing on other problems with Royal Flush. But I know we brought that up. But that's not something that I think he would have cared about. I just think that was a writing tactic to make sure that this episode wasn't focused on business issues, because that's normally the theme. And then, we've covered most of my notes. I'll just say, finally, it is generally considered a polite rejection to turn down a second date first time. Like, as in, you expect them to say, oh, I can't make that night. And then they'll say, like, how about another night? And then they'll be like, okay, yeah. So it's not rude. So Del takes it as an immediate rejection. He just goes like, oh.
I would.
Well, yeah, but it's not like it's kind of normal etiquette to do that. So
unless somebody explained, like she did, as to why she turned it down, I would also feel rejected. So, and you see, as soon as she explains why, he doesn't feel rejected anymore.
Yeah, and I think that the vulnerability that he expresses here is actually a setup for later, because he actually looks upset when she says, I can't make it. Yeah. So it's showing that he likes her. It's like, we kind of already get that vibe from the scene, but that disappointment shows that his vulnerability is coming to the forefront of his character, which, you know, he's set himself up for disappointment because he's fucked up by lying at this point, but that doesn't matter. Yeah. And I think that's a nice setup for later in the episode. But yeah, nothing like a good scene cut with a nice line like this at the end. My brother handles things when I'm not there.
This reminds me of Miami Twice. They're both safe and sound.
Yeah, I love that. In any comedy show, I love a good cut into something that's contradictory to what's being said. So
yeah, we cut to Rodney flying through the air and over a hill in the car. That's literally the first thing we see. And he approaches a set of traffic lights that goes red, and he drives straight through, causing a police car to crash into the back of another car.
Right.
So this becomes very important later in the story. And there are two police officers, one young man and one young woman. And the male tells the female police officer to go and get the license plate.
No, he was going too fast. But there can't be too many yellow three-wheel vans round here.
The police officer's response to the guy that he crashed into is really funny, actually.
You, I don't ever do that again.
Surely the police officer would be the one that was in trouble, right? Because he went into the back of that guy. Isn't that how it works when you have an accident? If you're the one that rear ends somebody else,
yeah, that's why
you're the one who's in trouble.
That's why he's so nervous and jumpy and upset, right? Because he's crashed his car and he only just got it, but he'll get the blame because it was his fault.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I thought he was having a go at that guy. That was kind of what it was.
I mean, he was having a go at that guy, but that guy did the right thing, right? He braked because
otherwise he would have crashed into Rodney.
The police officer is in the wrong here. Yeah, that's why he's so upset.
So yeah, we see Rodney pulling up down a side street. And he was clearly having some sort of big panic attack because he's breathing very heavily. But now with some relief as he's gotten away from the car that was following him. And he turns to Neris.
What's wrong, Neris? Neris?
Poor Neris.
Poor Neris. I know, that's what I said. You know, just to talk a little bit more about that ex-boyfriend.
I hope he doesn't listen to this.
Oh, I doubt he does. And even if he does, he probably wouldn't even remember who I am. He also was a boy racer, and he used to drive crazy fast speeds with me in the car, and he used to scare the hell out of me. So I know exactly how Neris feels here. Although he wasn't trying to get away from some thugs that were chasing us.
He was the one chasing them, right?
Yeah, he just thought he was a rude boy, you know, kind of thing. But yeah, it was it's terrifying being in the car with someone that's like driving like a maniac and you can't do anything about it. You're the passenger. So yeah, poor Neris.
Yeah, she looks so upset. Very funny, but she's upset.
Yes, it's funny, but yes. So any other notes about this little sequence?
So this, because the car is jumping through the air, I feel like this is a good time to put in this note about the cars that were used. So prior to filming dates, 2 new vans were purchased from a hire company called Telefilm Cars, and they were to be used for this production, mostly down in Bristol. So these were actually a green 1973 super van that was painted for most of the general filming, and then a second red van that was painted yellow for the jump scene specifically. So they got a separate van just for the jump scene.
Of course, because they couldn't. You said that to get hold of like the yellow three-wheel vans all the time must have been really annoying. So
yeah, and then I know I read more about the actual stunt and the performance of it, but I couldn't find it when I went back to it. So maybe somebody else has a story about that if they can find it, about the actual filming of the stunt and how it was done. The police officers, the male police officer was played by Leslie Rogers, who has no other credits on IMDb that I could see. The female police officer was played by Maggie Norris, who went on to play Claire Palmer in Coronation Street, 1996-97. I don't remember who that is. Claire Palmer.
No.
Doesn't ring any bells to me. I looked her up.
96, 97 probably isn't the era that I would have. I think I started watching Coronation Street like really religiously in like 1999.
Oh, really?
2000.
That's quite late.
For me. Yeah, because I think I didn't really get it before then. You know, it was too bland for me. I didn't have the best attention span.
I feel like I watched it in the 90s, but when I looked up her character, I did not recognize her. That's it.
So now we go to Raquel's flat. So it's Monday night, and Del and Raquel have just finished a lovely meal in Raquel's flat. The whole situation seems friendly and relaxed, but unfortunately Del has chosen to continue lying.
Do you think your car will be all right out there? We get a lot of vandalism around here.
Oh, yeah, that's why I didn't bring the car. I mean, you leave a Ferrari out there and see what you come back to.
Oh, good.
I know, he never just lies a little bit. He has to go all the way, doesn't he? And choose like one of the most like top-end cars in the world.
Yeah, that's like his
But
prank
anyway.
thing when Grandad says you never know when to stop. It's true. He does that with the lies too.
Very true. Yeah. So Del points out that the flowers have lasted well because of how badly they haven't lasted. And Raquel says she's not going to throw them away because they remind her of a lovely day. So here things are just clearly getting more romantic between the two of them, and they're clearly sharing a lot of mutual affection. And this prompts Del to approach Raquel with a suggestion.
Yeah, listen, I want to ask you something.
Del, wait a while, eh? See how we feeling.
No, not that. No, call blimey, no.
So Raquel thought Del wanted to have sex with her here. And I do think it's interesting, actually, that Del doesn't appear to have that on his mind at all. But because just thinking about like the previous times that we've seen him with dates, he always seems to kind of be taking it there, or he seems to want to take it there. So it's kind of nice that he doesn't do that with Raquel.
I mean, this is only their second date, and I think because he thinks this is more of a serious relationship, although his lies do not go along with that, I think he is taking it more slow, because it is generally considered that to have at least 3 dates, right?
Dude, you're asking me? I haven't dated anyone in like 9 years.
Well, I mean, the etiquette was different then too. Plus, they met through this agency, so it's not exactly the same as just seeing a woman in a pub and being like, oh, I'm attracted to her. It's different. Like, I do feel like he was, like, she thinks that he's suggesting that, but that isn't what he was suggesting. So, yeah, we know that he's not, because he's like, oh, God, no, not that.
So, yeah, I mean, Del's actual suggestion is that he joins the Masons so he can help Raquel get more opportunities in the acting industry. And to be honest, the Masons is something that I would have thought Del would have wanted to join anyway, because now he's getting a bit snobbier. Like, I know he laughs it off in part 1 when he's in the pub with Boise and Rodney sort of insulting them, but I actually thought that would have been right up Del's street from the get-go. So it's a bit weird that he didn't want to join before, I guess is all I'm saying.
Yeah, maybe.
So it just seemed a bit naive of Del to make this suggestion, because like, even though he has dirt on Boise and he expects Boise to be the one who gets him into the Masons, and he's going to use that to like blackmail him, did he think that it was just Boise's decision to let him into the Masons? Like, did he think Boise had like that much influence that just Boise being like, yeah, let him in, that he'd be allowed in?
Yeah, he did, because he says one of my friends is a member. He just assumes it's that easy. I guess he doesn't know about the process.
Yeah. No. Well, I wouldn't either, but yeah.
Yeah,
so.
why would he? Yeah.
So Raquel gives him a kiss for his suggestion. So Del decides to call Boise from Raquel's flat, to which I assume she would have heard this entire conversation. So she would have heard him blackmailing one of his friends. But anyway, so we cut to Boise's house and we get to see Marlene again. Always a pleasure to see Marlene.
Get out of there, Joke! Get out! Daddy will be cross!
Marlene! That dog is in my aquarium again!
I've told him to get out, but he don't take any notice!
He'll take some bloody notice when I put Piranha in there!
You're the master of the house, you get him out!
Hello,
this is Boise.
Great exchange there between those two. It's brilliant. So Del asks to speak to Boise, and Marlene tells him to stay on the line afterwards so she can talk to him about Albert's birthday. Del invites Raquel to come to a celebration. This is really interesting, the wording. He doesn't say, do you want to come to a birthday party or do you want to come to my uncle's birthday? He says, do you want to come to a celebration me and my family are having on Friday? Mm-hmm. But then she says she has drama class and she can't skip it. I wonder if he said birthday party, if she would have been a little bit more like apprehensive about going to a local birthday party on that night and doing her stripping.
Yeah, definitely. Although, like she said later, she checked the name and it was Trotter. So, yeah.
But then there's still a chance that Del could have been at the party. I mean, this is the thing that's
it's
like...
risky. But I mean, if you think about London and how many pubs there are, like, what are the odds?
True, I suppose. So Boise comes to the phone, all togged out in aquarium attire.
Hello.
So stressed. Hello. And Del asks Boise to get him into the Masons. And Boise pretty much just laughs in his face. So Del decides to blackmail him.
No, listen, Boise, I'd be a very good Mason. You know, I can prove it. Masons are supposed to do each other favours, right? Well, you do me the favour of proposing me, and I'll do one for you.
And what might that be?
I won't tell Marlene about that little bird in Sheffield.
You could also tell Marlene about Boise buying a Jaguar for his bit on the side.
Maybe it's the same bit on the side. It could be.
Could be. I don't know. That was a while ago. I mean, that's a long-term relationship that Boise is having with his bit on the side, if that's the case.
Right. Yeah. It's a long
So
time.
the problem is, though, once like Del has threatened Boise with this, if I were Boise, I would never trust him again with anything. Like once one of my friends had threatened to like tell something that they knew about me in confidence to someone, I would be like, I'm never telling you anything again. Because you're going to use it to threaten me.
Yeah.
So it just, I don't know. Seems like a bit of a, he should have saved it for something bigger.
Well, to Del, this is huge, isn't it? And then also,
True.
Boise is right. He says, Del, you're not a grass. He's not. Like, that is true. He's not. No. Yeah. And he isn't because he didn't tell Marlene. He just teased it. But yeah, I don't think Del would have told her because Del isn't a grass.
No, that's true. And surely Boise must have some dirt on Del as well. There's no way that it's just one way. So, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, Boise laughs off the threat and Marlene takes the phone back to talk to Del.
Don't put that phone down. I want to talk to him about Albert's birthday. Del, what do you think he'd like for a present?
Now, wait a minute. Yeah, I do know that he does like a bit of fishing, right? And he was talking about getting himself a proper angler's knife. But it must be made of Sheffield steel.
Sheffield?
Give us that phone!
Sheffield.
I've got to say, that's a very clever thing that Del did there. And it's very, very funny as well. So, yeah. That's all I had for that scene. Any notes, dude?
Description of Raquel's flat in the script is, it is a clean and pleasant lounge. The furnishings are early B&Q. I feel like we've heard that before. I think John Sullivan liked describing the furniture like that. He's definitely said that before, B&Q. Which, shows that Raquel's not got a lot of money, but that's fine. So Del is quite right when he says it's who you know. That's very true. Sometimes talent does mean nothing. You get discovered because of who you know.
Oh, I think majority of the time that's the case.
And luck. Just the right moment and luck. Yeah, of course. Marlene checking her appearance in the mirror before she answers the phone is absolutely hilarious to me. Like, that is so good.
It reminds me of a hyacinth bouquet.
Yes, it does. Very hyacinth bouquet. And yeah, you're right. I put the Sheffield gag is hilarious. I feel like, does it even get a little bit of applause? I'm not sure, but I know it gets a huge laugh from the audience.
Yeah, I mean, we always quote that, don't we? Get us our phone!
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a great moment. And also having this extra scene in the boys' house is really cool because we don't get that many times that we see them in the house. Their little argument. Also, the phone is ringing for such a long time at the beginning of the scene.
I know.
I'm surprised Del didn't give up.
Well, I guess, like you said, he really wants this.
Yeah. So that was it.
Okay, so now we go to the big birthday party scene in the Nag
Yeah, I love this scene.
And it actually looks like it's a great party. Yeah. Looks like everyone's having a good time, except for Mike, of course.
Of course, because Mike's a stick in the mud and he doesn't enjoy music, dancing and bad language. Why is he a landlord?
Yeah, I know, of all the jobs to have, if you don't like fun, why are you running a pub?
Right.
So yeah, Albert obviously playing the piano, singing, having a lot of fun. All of the rules that Mike put down have been broken. So I think this is actually the very first time that we see Rodney in a proper suit.
That
up
fits
until
him.
This point,
yeah,
like up until this point, like every suit we've seen Rodney wear has been like that cheap looking like grey one. He had the black and white one.
Wait.
Just like a negative.
What about the wedding in Frog's Legacy? What's he wearing there?
Oh, maybe he's wearing a suit, but it's grey. I think it's the dark suit. I think it looks really nice on him. Sorry, I'm crushing on Nicholas Lyndhurst again here. I think that dark suit looks really good on him. I think it like really accents his looks. Yeah. That's what I say. Sorry.
That's okay. You don't have to
But
be
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, you're right. There was the Frog's Legacy, but yeah, I don't think the suit is as nice there. But also, we did see him in a suit in Strained Relations, but he had that like duffel coat over it, and then by the time he got to the flat, he was just wearing like
the shirt.
his shirt. I think
You're right.
Yeah. Oh no, he is still wearing the suit, but yeah, because it's Strained Relations. I mean, you couldn't find someone attractive if they were, grieving over their dead relative. So yeah. Well, some people might. So anyway, Mike is angry with Del because he broke all the promises that he made about Albert's behaviour.
But then Del blames Mike.
Del, you promised me, mate.
What can I do, Michael? You've given him too much to drink, haven't you?
He's starting to slur his words now. He's almost offended some of the ladies.
How do you mean?
Well, he wanted a rum and black. He ordered a bum and rack.
You want to cross your fingers he doesn't fancy a Bucks Fizz, Michael.
You said this line was meant for an earlier episode, right?
Yeah, it was in Royal Flush, so we've already covered it.
No, Royal
it was
Flush.
in the
Yeah, that's
script
it.
of the Royal Flush.
Yeah.
In the final scene that got completely changed, it's in the script of something that Del did at the dinner in Royal Flush, and Albert is the one that brings it up.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great line.
Yeah.
It's very memorable.
Yes.
Yeah, really, really clever writing.
It's definitely a good one that he brought back, yeah.
Yeah, and it was far more appropriate to be said here as well. I'm glad that they saved it for this. So
Yeah.
So Rodney asks what happened at the Masonic Lodge, and Del appears to be very positive about everything.
But as Boyce said, there's always a chance that I could be blackballed.
What's that, part of the initiation ceremony?
I love that line, Sarah.
So they explain that just one person putting a black snooker ball into the bag means that Del cannot be initiated. So Rodney asks if Del is doing all of this for Raquel, and Del says that she's worth it, but she couldn't come to the party tonight because she has a drama rehearsal.
Yeah? What in?
Don't know, rehearsal room, I suppose.
No, I mean, what play?
Oh! I don't know, something, deep and meaningful. One of them Russian jobs, most probably.
So Del claims to be a changed man, really, due to him meeting Raquel. That's kind of what he's saying here. And he also says that she has a good singing voice, so I assume that he's heard her sing by this point, but I just wonder when that was.
Yeah, they've only had those 2 dates, so maybe she sang at the flat or something.
Yeah, it's a bit strange. But yeah, he goes on about
He
her
could
voice
just be
a little
saying that because he wants to impress Rodney as well. He doesn't actually know, but yes.
True. Well, obviously Rodney doesn't think she's talking about the singing voice. He thinks he's just talking about her boobs.
Right. That's a moment when Nick Lyndhurst's more mature, like goes back to his old self.
I was going to say, it's interesting because my next note here says, Rodney seems genuinely happy for Del here, which is really lovely because every other time we've seen Del get involved with a woman, Rodney has been against it. So it looks like Rodney's genuinely growing up finally.
Apart from that moment, yeah.
Yeah, apart from his talking about boobs. And it's funny because in Royal Flush, Del had the boobs thing as well. So yeah. So Boise enters and Del asks him if they've come to a decision yet at the lodge.
Yes, Derek, and it is bad news. Well, it's bad news for you, at least. You were blackballed.
Del looks genuinely disappointed here. And I actually always think he looks a little bit like he's going to cry. Like he has this kind of like quiver and his eyes have a little like, he looks really sad. And that delivery of that like, oh no, like kind of line. I don't know. There's just something about, he looks genuinely vulnerable in that moment when he hears that. Again, David Jason's acting, superb. And Boise explains,
when I emptied the bag, there was more than one blackball. Well, let's put it this way. Have you ever seen the bottom of a rabbit's hutch?
Poor Del.
And actually that imagery is brilliant. That's a really good way to describe it because you totally picture exactly what it looked like when they emptied the balls out. So Del is worried about what he's going to say to Raquel because he promised her, that he was going to do this for her. And Rodney assures him.
Oh, look, if she's as talented as you say she is, she don't need you bribing some television director. Her talent will win through.
No, you're right, Rodney. No, you're right. Yeah. No, she's going to be a star one day because she has got talent.
And this leads into focusing back on Albert, who does not have talent.
Altogether now.
The segue. Yeah, so he's very drunk at this point and he decides to start singing.
All together now. Oh, I put my finger in the woodpecker's hole and the woodpecker said, go, take it out, wiggle it about, remove it.
I would love to see who these people are that Mike claims are getting so offended, because everyone in that room looks like they're having an amazing time.
Yeah.
Where are these ladies that Albert's offending? I don't see
who
them
gets
anywhere.
offended by stuff like this? I mean, just bad language. Yeah, when Mike says the ladies are offended, like, I don't understand
Yeah.
this. Like, I don't care. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess it's because we're not posh, even though people think we are. I've heard stuff like this throughout my entire life. I've never been offended by bad language.
Oh, I prefer it sometimes.
I prefer bad language. Well, fuck you, dude.
So yeah, I mean, Mike, honestly, using bad language sometimes is a bit of a relief. I think if you ask most teachers this, they'll tell you the same, because teachers, we're not allowed to use foul language. We have to really watch what we say all the time when we're teaching. It feels like a relief when you get outside the classroom that you can say whatever you fucking want. And that's kind of, where the relief comes in, you know? You don't have to censor your language anymore. So Mike asks Del to take Albert out to the van, and Del says that it needed a walking frame to get down to the Nag's Head that evening, and Trigger overhears and interrupts.
Well, it was going all right the other day.
Yeah, when was that?
I saw Dave driving it. Some of his mates were following him.
Oh, yeah?
Well, yeah, but the engine was well lumpy then, Del.
Yeah, but it was kind of fair old leak though, wasn't it?
So Trigger cuts them off when he sees the apparent Navy officers enter the pub and go over to talk to Albert.
Albert Trotter. Able Seaman Albert Trotter, late of Her Majesty's ship Peerless.
Oyster?
I'm placing you under arrest.
So Del obviously knows what this is, but he plays along really well, and everyone else in the pub, including Albert, is convinced that this is a genuine arrest, which is great. And I must admit, I think the first time I saw this, I probably thought it was as well. So when you watch it back, obviously you can see that it is Raquel standing next to the male officer, but the first time you watch it, you could probably easily miss that detail.
Of course you would, yeah.
But then when she starts speaking, it's pretty clear that it's her, though, because of the accent.
Able Seaman Albert Trotter, you are hereby ordered by Her Majesty the Queen, by the High Lords of the Admiralty, and by all your friends and relatives to have a very happy birthday!
So while Raquel is dancing for Albert, which is such a weird sentence, knowing all the stuff in the future,
Yeah,
Raquel
true.
danced like in her underwear for Albert. It's so weird. Rodney is congratulating Del on the surprise, and everyone is enjoying themselves until Raquel and Del lock eyes across the room.
Raquel?
Is this the actress you've been telling us so much about?
Del is humiliated here and rushes out of the pub. And I can't think of an instance before this where we see this kind of reaction from Del.
No.
Like that genuine humiliation. Because Del always kind of holds his head high, even when he's struggling. And this is the reaction he should have had in a royal flush.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, I fucked up, and like hung his head in shame. But yeah, he's genuinely like crushed here, and everyone's laughing, including Rodney initially. And then of course Rodney sees how upset Del is, and he decides to follow him outside. So yeah, the next bit is a separate scene. So do you have any notes on that scene, dude? Albert's party.
Yeah. So just to go back to the beginning of the scene, there is that the script actually starts with a song being sung by Albert. The song was said to be sung to the tune of Lily Marlene. I don't know the tune, but the lines were driving across the desert, 80 miles an hour. We're the 8th Battalion. What a bloody shower. We can't speed up. We can't slow down. The gearbox is upside down. We are the 8th Battalion, Royal Engineers. So if anybody knows the tune that this is supposed to be sung to, obviously you can't put that in the comments. But I was going to say that was written in, and I guess they took it out. Maybe the tune wasn't allowed to be used, or maybe they didn't want Albert having more than one song.
Maybe. I mean, was that supposed to indicate that there's the rude sort of words? Because I don't think there's anything rude in those
No,
lyrics
that's not
you just
rude.
said.
It's just maybe it's just a song that, because like it's just another song that Albert was singing at his party. So
right, okay.
Yeah, and I noted here that Albert's outfit for this party is really funny. Like I really love the way that Albert is such a party guy. Like
yeah, me too.
Like,
I know. He's dressed as a sailor.
He wanted a party. He wanted a surprise party. He loves the performance, the drunken behavior. Like, he loves this scene. It's so much fun to see Albert having such a wild time in this scene. That's probably why I like this episode so much. Rodney's genuine happiness, I noted that. Poor Del, like, sad getting blackballed. A load of people on IMDb have added stuff under the goofs category for this scene, and it's pretty much all related to the factual errors related to the naval stuff, such as the weight of the ships, the salutes, the rankings, etc. They're all heavily downvoted goofs, so I'm guessing most people do not like the fact that either people are nitpicking this stupid stuff. I didn't want to research any of it because the main reason is because Albert is not supposed to know much about his Navy stuff.
No.
Like, if he says certain things about the Navy that aren't right, that's totally plausible because Albert, like, some people think Albert was lying about most of his naval stories.
Yeah.
But also, like, he
was a rubbish officer, wasn't he?
Yeah, and the naval officers and the rankings when they come in, they're not naval officers. Maybe you guys have forgotten. No. They're actually just the stripping agency. And they were probably only
actors,
and they're only doing what Del told them to do. So if they get any of that wrong, that's not a problem. That's not a mistake.
Yeah.
So
I thought they were quite good actors for sort of part-time stripper duo pair, you know?
Yeah, so that doesn't matter. And then, like, a big note here is quite important. Obviously, we haven't got to the Jolly Boys outing yet, but Raquel is not a very professional actress or performer in general because she stops halfway through.
Yeah.
She does the same thing at the Jolly Boys outing when she spreads her arms and goes, Del! So, like, twice she breaks character.
For Del.
Yeah, if Del and Raquel had played this down, it wouldn't have been a humiliating experience. They could have met eyes. Now, I think this is generally what would have happened if this had really happened in real life.
Yes.
Is Del would have spotted that it was Raquel and he would have left. Or he would have hidden his face until the end. And then he would have gone and spoken to her.
Yes.
Like, I know this is a TV show and an artistic license and stuff. I'm just saying that is what I think would have been better. Because they did really humiliate himself. He not only recognized her and they both stopped, but he said her name, which allowed all of his friends to find out.
Yes.
And then he had to leave out of humiliation. But Raquel then had to stop the performance, and it kind of ruined it for Albert too.
Yeah.
So it says in the script, Del cannot answer. He is hurt, deeply hurt. He is filled with rage and embarrassment, but above all, disappointment. He stares at her. He'd like to cry. He'd like to die. He turns and exits to a backcloth of laughter and derision. Rodney's laughter dies instantly as he realizes the seriousness of the situation. So, it was written for Del to be extremely hurt by this, and he plays it so well. And like you said, the first time that we see this emotion, really, we've seen Del angry, we've seen Del disappointed, we've seen him hurt, but we've never seen this. So it's like...
We've never seen humiliation.
Yeah, we know that Raquel is different in his eyes, and this is a more serious romantic storyline. So, then we go outside.
Yeah, so this is where we get the most, I would say, melodramatic sort of scene of the actually saying that the scene in Sid's Cafe is pretty melodramatic, but again the drama is just ramped up. Del goes to get into his car. He's furious, he's upset, and he decides against it for some reason, and maybe because he was expecting Rodney to come out or that he wanted to speak to Raquel. I'm not sure, but Del is actually beating up the car when Rodney comes out to talk to him, and hopefully Rodney's probably hoping that is what Del thinks made the bottom fall out in a minute.
Yeah.
But we know different. So this whole scene, as I said, is I think the most dramatic scene we've probably watched in Only Fools and Horses to this point. And I think you can just really feel that the tone of the show has shifted a little bit here. I mean, we've had some dramatic scenes before this. Obviously, Strained Relations, Millionaire, I mentioned both those scenes before. But there's something about this scene that feels more like they're shifting towards drama. And I can't quite put my finger on what it is about the scene. The only thing I can think is that it's because it's not in the flat. It's not on a sound stage. It's actually like outside in a real location that makes it feel more gritty, more real. That's what it could be. I'm not sure. Do you have any thoughts on that, dude?
I think the dark car park is, definitely a factor in why this scene seems sad and more drama. It feels like a soap. A little bit.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does. And the music coming from the background as well. Mm-hmm. There's more music used in this episode than I think we've ever had.
You mean incidental
in any
music?
other episode? Yeah, incidental music, like just the dun 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 dun, like in the background, like during this whole dramatic bit.
So just in general,
and also the scene and the scene changes, like as you mentioned, the doing 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 like thing, and it's the music in the background, Sid's Cafe, and then of course we have the sequence at the end of this, which is a music montage essentially. Like it just feels like they're using music more now to sort of hit the emotion, like get the emotion across, which it becomes a big thing actually in the rest of series 6. So this is kind of maybe where it started, and it does work. It works very well.
Well, and it's also very well done because like it is sad to see this happen to Del, and it's bad to see something negative. And I wonder if John Sullivan was worried at this point that fans weren't going to like sad stuff because of what happened with Royal Flush. But because, he had to be quite brave to step away from any fully comedic storyline again because of the way people reacted. But he knew that all of his others had been a success. So I guess he wasn't too nervous. And this is what David Jason wanted as well as John Sullivan, to take the character down this other avenue. So, it
works. I mean, obviously it works. Series 6 is amazing. So Rodney comes out and he approaches Del.
All right.
Oddly enough, I am not all right.
So Rodney tries to calm Del down and make out it's no big deal. He even tries to make the point that Del's actually dated someone before who used to go out in public with next to nothing on.
Anyway, what about a few years ago when you used to go out with that bird Monique? Now, she used to go around in public wearing next to nothing on.
She was a lifeguard.
Well, yeah, all right.
So Del finally decides to leave, but just as he's about to start the engine, Raquel runs outside.
Del! Wait a minute!
Again, even that is so dramatic.
It's very dramatic.
Yeah, super dramatic. It's like, it's like the end of a movie when someone's like leaving on the plane. This is the first time that Rodney actually meets Raquel.
Yep, this is the first time they actually officially talk to each other, is when he grabs her shoulders and says,
"Look, I won't talk to him yet, love. Just leave him. He'll calm down in a year or two."
Now, I put here, Del has the audacity to accuse Raquel of lying to him, and both of them have found out about all the lies that the other one has told.
And anyway, that's the pot calling the kettle black. I've just found out your name is Trotter. You told me you were called Derek Duval. And you didn't tell me you were a market trader. And I suppose this is the Ferrari.
So here I do think it is a bit rich, Del making Raquel like grovel to him, because he told a lot of lies as well. And if I was Raquel, I'd feel like I didn't know this guy at all. And I'm sure that Del feels like that about Raquel a little bit. So again, it's quite crazy to think that they actually were able to salvage a relationship out of this situation, because the trust is completely gone on both sides. At least I would imagine it would be.
Yeah.
And especially how cruel Del is to her in this exchange.
Yeah.
This is probably a daft question, but do you want to see me anymore?
Yes, of course I want to see you again, sweetheart. But next time I'll pay at the door like all the other punters.
So that is really harsh. And you can see how hurt Raquel is when he says that to her. And honestly, I'm glad that Rodney pointed out how harsh that was to Del.
Well, also glad that Del acknowledges that he didn't mean to say it.
Yeah,
Because,
exactly. I was going to say, and Del does regret it. He says he regrets it. But then he's still mad at her in the next scene. So I don't know if he really regrets it that much.
That's true. And yeah, like going back to what you just said, from Raquel's point of view, if I had been her, I would never have come back. Because not like just because of that mean thing, but the fact that, in my opinion, his lies are worse. He's nothing like what he said. It's not a simple, omission of truth about a job I have that I'm planning to get rid of. He lied about his name, his job, his car, his wealth, his class, everything. Yeah.
Everything.
It's not
pretty much.
I know that people could say, well, being a stripper is worse and all that. I don't think it is.
I don't think it is either.
And so, and that really mean thing is out of character because Del isn't mean, especially not to women usually. But but then he does say he wished he hadn't said it. And then that line about like most things in my life, it's too late. That's actually a very meaningful line. So yeah, that's pretty nice.
True.
To have that line because it shows a lot about Del.
Yeah, absolutely. Del goes to leave. And he gets in the van, but when he turns on the engine, all of its components fall out onto the floor, leaving Rodney looking quite concerned. And Del says he fancied a walk home anyways. He fancied a walk anyways. So he leaves to some rather funky music playing in the background, which is, we find out, is actually on the radio in Sid's cafe. This is the next scene. But it comes on as though it's like the music at the end of the scene. So if you weren't expecting the transition into the next scene, this seems like really inappropriate music for the moment.
Yeah, it does. And I've always wondered why they did that. I think because I just think it's so funny. Yeah, just this very weird music. And like I said, I thought it was the end credits when I was a kid because I don't think we had the rest of the episode recorded.
Yeah.
And I was like, what music is this? It's so weird.
So yeah, I mean, that's all I had for that scene. It's a great scene though, and again, very memorable. And I think, this is the first time, like I said, to do that sort of melodrama. I think it worked very well. Do you have anything else on that scene, dude?
So the Wagon and Horses on Stapleton Road is the pub that they used to film this, and that's because the car park was really good for this scene. So yeah, it's a different pub. Obviously, it's not the set that they run out of. It just occurred to me now. I didn't write this down, but yeah, I'm not sure exactly what they think was supposed to be the delay for Raquel running out, because I always thought that she should be right on his heels.
Yes, it was very late.
So it's a bit late. But yeah, like I'm wondering maybe the other guy tried to stop her because he's like, don't balls this up, we're not going to get paid. Maybe that's why it took a while for her to come out.
Well, no, she spoke to his friends because she said, I've just found out your name is Trotter and that you're a market trader, and like, so true, she must have been speaking to his friends about him. That must be what happened.
I would love to see that scene. Yeah, like her going and be like, what are you talking about? That's Derek Duval. Like,
yeah, true.
Rodney's face when he finds out Duval, the way that it spreads the smile.
Yeah,
like,
that's
Duval,
funny.
That's really funny. Because whenever Rodney catches Del in like a smarmy kind of lie like that, it's funny because I feel like it's exactly the sort of thing Rodney would do, and he catches Del doing it, and it's funny.
Yeah.
But his concern is very sweet.
Yes.
For Adele in this scene, you can tell the way that he is worried about both of them. He seems very mature the way he handles this scene. He just stands back.
Absolutely, he's a mediator, if anything, So yeah,
but
agreed.
I really love the line.
But you booked her.
I did not book her. I booked a strippogram.
Yeah, I honestly, there were so many quotes I wanted to put in this, but it's
Yeah.
such a long episode. That's why I was like, okay, I can explain this just like as a summary.
You
so
don't
I
have
won't
to
say
put
it,
the
but
quote
yeah.
in. Yeah.
Lots of great lines though. Yeah, that I skipped over in that scene.
Yeah, and that's pretty much all. I feel bad for both of them finding this out because, if you are genuinely like these two, they've kind of fallen for each other after 2 dates already. You can see there's a hell of a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
But they were both very nervous to be their true selves or tell the truth about a certain aspect of their life that they weren't comfortable with. And that's a very realistic thing to do.
Yeah.
And every single person in the world can relate to this. There's nobody that can't relate to that.
Yeah, and Del should be able to relate to that because, as you said, he's not comfortable with admitting that he's a market trader and that he doesn't have much money. So he should have understood and been able to empathize with Raquel's situation.
Exactly, but because both of the characters should have understood that they both felt the same way. But I just mean particularly the audience, anybody watching this episode can relate to that feeling of what it's like when you meet someone you like and you're afraid of certain aspects of yourself that you think might put them off, which I think is why, a lot of people became very invested in their relationship. And of course, we were already invested in the character of Del, but now we have this relatable character of Raquel, who isn't, just this comedy one-off kind of person. She's a genuine person. So again, that's why it's a great character to have introduced. So yeah, so on to Sid's
totally
Cafe.
Okay, so Del is sitting in Sid's Cafe, and it is the Sid's Cafe from Long Legs of the Law. I don't think we've seen it since then, have we?
No, and so we've gone back in time. Yeah, last time since series 2 I wrote here.
Yeah.
So Sid has got kicked out of the fatty thumb. And he's back in his
This is a nicer cafe anyway.
It's lovely in here.
Yes. I think it's absolutely lovely. So Sid asks Del if it's true that he's in love with a stripper, and Del is very dismissive.
I'm just, knocking about with her, you know what I mean?
That's what I thought. I told him Del Boy wouldn't get serious over some tart.
And it seems to me that Del is really angry, like that Sid just called Raquel a tart. That's like that facial expressions he pulls when he says tart, like referring to Raquel.
Her.
Yeah, he doesn't think she's a tart. But I was also wondering if that facial expression was partly like being like, yeah, I can't believe I got involved with a tart. But then Del always gets involved with tarts from what I've heard of his past relationships, according to Rodney.
I guess it shows the difference between, because he's actually upset that Sid's calling her a tart. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is about Raquel. I thought that's what it was, but I guess it could be a little bit of both.
It's also just hurt,
Yeah. I'm also not sure if this is supposed to be the next day or a few days later. Again, the time frame is a bit difficult to sort of narrow down in this episode about certain events. Yeah. So Rodney enters the cafe and he sees Dell is still sitting there, still upset.
Is it the £175 repair bill for the van? Is it her?
Her?
Raquel.
I've never known anyone called Raquel.
Oh, that is so childish, the way that Dell is behaving there. I find it hard to believe that he hasn't dated a stripper before. Like, I said this already. Like, it was implied that he had that thing with Devon at one point. And, you know, Dell's dating history. It sounds to me like Dell's dated everyone, like all walks of life, all sorts of women. I just think the way that he's judging Raquel is, like, quite out of character, actually, here. Like, unless it's his pride, it could all just be about his pride.
Yeah, it is, because he's in love.
But it's like, he's treating her like this because his friends laughed at him. Like, that's not her fault. Like, honestly, you know, I just think he's taking his anger out on the wrong person. It's not Raquel's fault, any of this.
No.
Like, as she kind of tries to say, but again, she's being so nice about the way he's treating her. And I just think Dell needs to grow up here. Yeah, I don't think it's right the way that he behaves in this scene. So Rodney continues to put his foot in it when he suggests that they go and watch a stripper down the Coach and Horses.
Yeah, classic Rodney. Yeah.
Yeah, bless him. Dell says he's going to stay in, watch a Russian play on the TV, so we can see how much he's been affected by Raquel, because he now calls it a load of old cobblers.
Yeah.
But when Rodney gets up to get his tea, Raquel walks in and Dell ignores her completely. Again, very childish. And I never thought I'd see the day when Rodney was the mature one and Dell's behaving like a kid, because usually it's the other way around. Like, Rodney is so mature here and he's like trying to breach the gap and again, like mediate between the two of them, and Dell is like throwing his dummy out the pram. And Raquel's being really mature as well. So it's literally just Dell being like that. So Rodney very kindly dismisses himself and offers Raquel his tea. So Rodney leaves them alone. But as Rodney's leaving, he bumps into Neris's mum.
Oh, Rodney!
Hello, Mrs. Sampson.
What do you do to my Neris? She come in shaking like a leaf, white as a chink she was.
No, it weren't me, Mrs. Sampson. It was some jobs.
I just think it's nice that we got a little bit of a conclusion to the Neris story. Like, that's nice. It's just a little minor thing, but it's good that there was some sort of acknowledgement that it happened, because there was nothing after this. You know, he didn't see Neris again in the pub. Like, I just thought of like Zach Morris's trash because she probably fucking killed herself. But so this conversation between Raquel and Dell is very intense. Like, Raquel is again forced to be the one who's making all the effort, and she has to make up with Dell. She tells him that she's resigned from the strippogram agency and signed on the doll, and she explains that she would never have accepted the job to be the stripper if she'd known what his real name was. His real name was Trotter.
Still didn't tell me what you did for a living. I thought I knew you. Knew nothing. Your disguises and secrets.
Hypocrite!
Yeah.
That's what I wrote. And Raquel actually says sorry to him, which again to me shows what a great person she is, because I would have been throwing all of his lies back in his face.
Yeah,
the
he's
entire
very
time
lucky.
He was guilt-tripping me. Yeah.
Just showing
She
up.
did not deserve it. Yeah, she really didn't deserve it. So she says she's been offered a job abroad in the Middle East to do a tour, and he finally breaks his silence towards her to lecture her.
Oh, use your noddle, Raquel. You read about that sort of thing in the Sunday papers. You'll end up as a hostess in some topless dive in the Casbah. Probably get kidnapped and then end up in a Harlem.
Another Dellism there. Although I don't think I'd want to end up in Harlem either. I've been to Harlem and it scared me.
Shame the two of us couldn't have been more honest with each other.
Look, I was straight with you. Oh, all right, so I called myself Duval. Well, what's wrong with that? That's nothing, is it? I mean, it's just a joke. I didn't tell you any other lies.
Fortunately, Sid calls Dell over right at this moment to enable Raquel to say,
Maybe it's another call from your New York office.
and this actually prompts Dell to smile as he's finally thawing towards Raquel a little bit, but it should not have taken all of this. I cannot believe Dell is not more self-aware when he's saying all this stuff like, I didn't do anything wrong. Like, you kidding me, Del? Fucking hell.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So Raquel makes it clear how she feels about Del by saying all the ways that she feels her life has improved since they met. And actually, it's really lovely, all the stuff that she says about her confidence, improving and everything, and waking up just feels better now that he's in her life. Like, what a lovely thing to hear. And you can really, again, see how emotionally mature Del is here based on his response to that.
Raquel, would you like a piece of my fried bread?
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's funny, but she just said some really lovely stuff to you. You've got nothing more than that to say. You can say that Raquel actually understands Del very well, I think, and she likes him for who he is because now she sees the real him and she still likes him. So Raquel says that she doesn't have to go on the tour, and she kind of leaves it up to Del to decide if she should stay or go. I don't think that's very fair. I wouldn't put that responsibility on somebody else,
Yeah.
That happens a lot, though, in sitcoms and everything. They always say, it's up to you. Do I stay? Do I go? Give me a reason to stay. All that kind of stuff. So she tells him to be at her flat tomorrow at 12 if he wants her to stay, and Del says he needs some time. So this scene actually has hardly any laughs in it. I think the fried bread line gets the biggest laugh out of anything in this whole scene. And you can really feel that there's an atmosphere in the air. And yeah, again, it's more like drama. So do you have any notes for that scene, dude?
When Del says at the beginning that he wasn't in love with her, he's just knocking about with her. That goes back to what you said. He's dated strippers before, but yeah, that's different. Del's always had this reputation, I guess, of just having a lot of birds in his history.
Yeah.
And just knocking about is completely acceptable if it's a stripper. He just doesn't want anybody to know that he's vulnerable and he would actually fall in love with a stripper. And he is. That's why he's so angry, because he's being defensive.
Yeah.
In regards to the Neris part, so this is where we think we need a little bit of input from the audience, because it says in the lovely Jubbly book that the voice of Neris's mom was Jean Chalice, who was John Chalice's wife at the time.
Huh.
But when I looked that up, it says it seems at that time, 1988, they were divorced and he was married to somebody named Sabina Franklin.
Oh.
So can anyone clarify that? Because I wonder if the fact in the book is incorrect. I mean, I think the voice is Jean Chalice, but were they married at the time? And were they friends after they got divorced? Maybe that's why. I don't know. So please clarify, please. The tour. So Del gets protective of Raquel instantly when he hears about the tour. But that's his nature, isn't it? He's a very protective person. I think he's been too hard on her, but that's what snaps him out of this, I'm ignoring you thing. So he can't not be protective because that's him. It's so ingrained in Del.
I mean, I do happen to agree with Del, even though I feel like he's kind of lecturing her a little bit. I mean, why would he know about that more than she would?
Yeah, he doesn't.
Exactly.
Yeah. He just read something in the paper. But so when Raquel says, so Del says at the beginning of the scene, and he shrugs off the Chekhov play and says it's a load of bloody rubbish, which is such a shame, because if you go back to the last scene, he's talking about Chekhov and he's a changed man. And then Raquel does that moment where she sort of looks out and says, great, another day.
Yeah.
How her outlook changed on life. And that's how both of them felt, because before this reveal, they were both feeling how you feel when you fall in love with someone, that everything just looks different, the world looks different and your outlook
I'll
changes.
see if I can remember. It's been a long time.
But that is a very, very strong emotion that you feel when you meet the right person, is your outlook changes. And they both showed signs of that. And Raquel is very, very open about that. She tells Del. Del's playing his cards closer to his chest now, but he still feels it. He just doesn't tell her. And he's been so hurt that, he needs this time to think it over, which I think is realistic. But Raquel offering to give up her future,
I know,
for Del after what he did is amazingly huge gesture. So it very much shows that they're very, very serious about each other. And then going off and saying, right, I need overnight to think about it. And, we know that this is going to end up being the reason that he's late. I put another storyline that wouldn't work with today's technology.
Yeah,
and that's it.
I'll just text her, I've been arrested, can't come.
Yeah, exactly. Or Rodney could have texted her, or something could have changed. Either way, Raquel disappears off and becomes uncontactable, and she doesn't write him. And so the only way that they ever happen to meet again is by chance.
And let's face it, that would never happen in real life.
Yeah. And he doesn't get a chance to explain this to her until a year after Rodney and Cassandra get married. They haven't even met yet. So this is a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So either way, we don't know that's going to happen yet.
So we go now to pretty much what is the last scene in the Nag's Head, where Mike is talking about how funny it was when they all realised that Raquel was the stripper. And it's actually lovely to see Rodney sticking up for Del here.
You got to be honest, Rodney. It was funny at the time, mate.
Yeah, well, Del didn't seem to think so.
No, well, he wouldn't, would he?
Del's been taking it all very well, as it happens.
Yeah, well, we'll have to take your word for that, Rodney, because he ain't been in here since.
Yeah, we had a bit of thinking to do last night. He's got a sort of decision to make.
What's that? Whether to pay the bill for the strippogram agency.
And Del walks in just at the moment when Mike is wagging his finger back at Rodney. And Mike tries to stop himself laughing, but I actually thought Del handled it quite well and offered to buy Mike a drink. So that is the mature thing to do, and Del did the right thing there. So Del actually says good morning when he walks into the pub. So I have a question. Are they all like drinking in the morning?
Well, because he's going to meet Raquel at noon, remember? And then when it cuts back, he says it's 11 already or something. So they do say the time.
So like,
yeah,
Albert's drinking rum at 11 o'clock in the morning.
They do, though. I think at the weekend, like, you do. I don't know. I don't. But I mean, maybe.
I don't.
Because it's at brunch, and drinking mimosas at brunch is a huge thing. So
yeah, I just think that's a bit early for me. Del talks to Rodney about his decision.
What are you doing?
Well, I've been thinking about her all night last night, Rodney. She's had a tough old life, you know. Her old man was a right roughhouse. All the other blokes that she's known before that were no better. And, you know, she's had nothing but bad luck. Then she met me.
Bloody hell, life's a bitch, isn't it?
That is when her luck changed, Rodney.
I just really like that exchange, yeah. And that gets a huge laugh as well when Rodney says life's a bitch. So Del says that he was thinking about all of his past relationships and he feels that he's always been bad luck to the women he's known. And honestly, from what we've seen, it's the women who've treated Del badly so far. But maybe there has been cases of the other way around. I don't know. But like, I can only think of Heather, Pauline, and what's her face? Oh, Miranda. And they were all awful to Del. I think those are the only 3 times we've seen Del having any sort of romantic relationships in the series anyway.
Yeah, but he talks a lot about women and relationships. And if you go back to Rock and Chips, he's like getting engaged to loads of girls kind of at the same time.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
that's what I mean. So we hear about it, but
Yeah.
like the only time we've seen it happen in the episodes is with those 3 women, and they all treated Del badly, in my opinion.
Right,
so,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So Del says he's decided that he is going to go for it with Raquel after he finishes his drink. So he's going to go round to her flat. And Rodney is, again, very supportive of this decision. Like, he seems really happy. So totally different than every other time Del's mentioned a woman.
Thank you, Rodney. You stuck by me. You're a diamond.
Now get off, will you?
No, you are. No, I'll never forget that. You did laugh at the time, though, didn't you?
Didn't know?
You did know who it was, Rodney, because you said, that's not Raquel. It's Raquel, when he laughed. So yes, Rodney did know who it was, but
Right.
anyway. So Del says the same thing that Raquel said earlier, that they're not talking about marriage or living together, but they're just going to be there for each other. And I've got to say, it's quite a sacrifice on her part to give up a job like that to be there for someone.
Yeah, without knowing.
That's
yeah.
so vague, like what that means, you know. But I'm guessing both of them kind of figured it would become more quite quickly if they just stuck around and worked at it. And it does. I mean, she moves in with him almost instantly when they see each other again after the Jolly Boys. So they have a cheers and Rodney wishes Del all the best, which is lovely. And this is the first time I feel like Rodney and Del are on the same page. So again, it's like Rodney's a man now and not the child that Del has to look after. So now we have a very quick cut to Raquel looking out of the window. I'm not sure if you want to say something about that scene before we go to that.
The only thing I was going to say about the Nag's Head here is that Del says that Raquel's old man was a roughhouse.
Yeah.
Does he mean her husband or her dad? When he says
I
old
think
man.
you can use that term for both of those things.
You
So
can.
yeah, I'm not sure. I assume he means the husband
Yeah,
because
he has to, right?
because Raquel's dad is nice. We meet him later. and
Exactly.
He's a nice guy.
So that's what I wrote. So yeah, old man can be used for both because I know that he says, "Where's the old man?" to June and Happy Returns.
Yes.
But yeah, I wrote it as a note as if he meant father.
Mm.
And I put that does not match James in the future. But yeah, it doesn't mean that. Although she says other things over the years about her dad. That don't match the impression of James.
That's
yeah.
true. But she just said her dad's not supportive. But yeah, when we meet him, he's like the loveliest guy. So,
yeah.
I
Not
don't
that
know.
it matters, but in this case, a rough house would match Roy, although we don't know if Roy actually
Yes.
beat Raquel up, but he was definitely not a nice guy. We know that.
No.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can cut to the Raquel looking out the window.
Yeah, so just saying that I I assume that Del is running late, but then it could just be that she's anticipating his arrival. I mean, if you want something to happen, you're like checking the window constantly to see if it's going to happen, I guess. So
this is just a way of building up, because they're going to start showing now that Raquel is waiting for Del. And that's very important, because we cut back to the Nag's Head and we still see that Del is still just at the bar. So we know that maybe he's going to be late for whatever reason, but we don't know. So, but he says he's going to leave, right, in the next scene. He says, I'm going to get round there.
Yeah, he does say that in the next scene. So we go back to the Nag's Head and Del is finally able to laugh at the situation about Raquel, and he's a bit more sort of openly talking about it now and how he felt when he saw Raquel was the stripper. Mike also apologizes to him, which is nice, because you wouldn't imagine that Mike would have apologized, but he did say that he was sorry.
I thought Albert took it well, although he did threaten to get even with you.
Oh, yeah, well, Del ain't eating a thing Albert's cooked ever seen.
That is an important setup for the next part, I guess, that Albert was mad and threatened to get him back, because if that hadn't happened, I don't think Del would do what he does next. So Rodney takes a rum over to Albert, and as he's over at the window, as you mentioned,
the window, very important window.
Again, important for this scene to work, he sees a police car. It's actually the police car because it's still damaged, so it's not even like a new one that they got given.
Same.
It's that guy. But again, I don't think Rodney would have seen that guy or that police car because he was long gone by then. But yeah, he sees a police car with a dent and he sees two police officers looking at the three-wheeled van. And Rodney rightly assumes that they are following up about the accident that he caused the other day.
I've got to go, right? I've got to go.
Blimey, you want to clean your pipes out a bit, Mike? Gone right through him, man.
I mean, this is the great thing. It's just these little like one-liners like that, these little moments that, they have nothing to do with the rest of the scene, but they're just brilliant standalone jokes. Absolutely brilliant. And the delivery, everything. Yeah. So the police come into the Nag's Head just as Del is about to leave.
Is your name Trotter?
Yes, that's my name. That's me, yes.
Is that your yellow van out there?
What, the one with Trotter written on the side? Yes, that's mine.
So the police explain that Del's van was the cause of an accident, and because Del is waiting for Albert to get him back, he wrongly assumes that the police officers are strippers, or the female one is, at least.
You disappoint me, Uncle.
That would have been a great time for Albert to say that he had nothing to do with it, but instead he just sits there with his mouth open. If Albert had said then, what are you talking about? Like, I disappoint you how? What are you talking about? I haven't done anything. Like, that would have been fine, and that never would have happened. But Albert literally lingers for like a good sort of 5 seconds with his mouth open after Del says, "You disappoint me, Uncle."
Yeah.
And there's like nothing. It feels really long now because I'm like, say something, Albert.
Mr. Trotter.
Yes.
Either you're not taking this very seriously, or you don't understand the full implications of your last statement.
Look, come on, darling. Look, I'm a bit pushed for time, so, can we get on with it?
What do you mean?
Well, you know what I mean. Come on, hurry up. Come on, get him off. Come on.
I would imagine that this is not only an arrestable offence. I'd imagine you'd do some jail time if you did something like this to a female police officer.
Yeah, I have no idea, but I'm assuming so, yeah. It's pretty bad. Yeah, I mean, it's just for comedy.
I mean, he pulled open the top of a female officer and exposed her bra to the entire pub. So I do think Mike's reaction is quite funny, though, when the pen drops out of his mouth.
Yeah, Mike's reaction is really funny. I mean, the whole thing is hilarious, but yeah, if this
it
were real...
It is. Her reaction is very funny, too, the way she, like, puts her arms, like, across and, like, and there's, like, this huge, like, open mouth thing. And the male police officer, like, licking his lips, like, what the hell am I going to do now? It's great. But surely, I would imagine you'd do a few months in jail for that kind of crime. Anyway, so Del quickly realizes that he's going to get arrested when he realizes that it had nothing to do with Albert and he sees the police car outside.
Oh my God.
Nick him.
He's like a demon. Nick him. Yeah. So Del is being dragged outside the pub and we get this like montage now of Raquel leaving and Del being arrested. And this lovely version of A Slow Boat to China playing over the top. Now, Jenny and I tried to find this version earlier because I told Jenny I'd look for it and I couldn't find it anywhere. So if anybody knows which version of the song this is, like who's singing this version and who did the accompaniment, I'd love to know because I really like this version. It's like the minimal music. It's really nice. And the voice is very beautiful.
You might have been able to find it by now, by the time the episode's released, because we're recording this way in advance. But yeah, maybe. If not, we'll have a different version. But Yeah, I don't know who's
Yeah.
singing. Maybe it's Chesapeake Jones.
It could be. I always thought it was when I was growing up. So.
Yeah, me too.
The episode ends with Del asking what time it is when he gets to the police station and realizing that he's missed Raquel.
You don't know the code for Addis Ababa, do you?
So that ending is very sad. It's obviously it's funny because Del's face and everything, but if you really think about it, it's really sad. And then you've got this sad music playing over the top, and actually particularly Raquel walking underneath the clock at Waterloo.
Yeah, that's really
and
sad.
sort of
yeah.
stopping. Oh, it's really sad. And I do wonder if maybe you know the answer to this, dude. I do wonder if John Sullivan had decided that he wanted to bring Raquel back already by this point, or if she was always just meant to be like a one episode character.
He might have decided during filming. He might have decided after the final edit. We know he decided at some point, but he didn't, because this was filmed so close to Series 6. She couldn't have been included in Series 6 because all the scripts were written and it was all filmed almost straight away. So yeah, he couldn't have. But as soon as he gets the next opportunity after the end of Series 6, which is the first episode, the Jolly Boy's out and he brings her back. So it's quite likely that during filming and during editing and maybe after airing, he'd already said, right, definitely we're going to bring this back for Del, because he continued the progression of the more mature Del throughout Series 6, and by the time he had the opportunity to write the next episode, which was the Jolly Boys Outing, he went ahead and brought her back, and then she's permanently in the series. So
yeah, true.
So yeah, probably.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. It's sad, but then also when the credits kick in, obviously it's humorous because you do get a laugh from the audience at Del's last line. But yeah, that moment with the little montage, it's kind of sad because you see Del being dragged away from his potential future with Raquel. But I put a note that Rodney is to blame for this. So Rodney destroyed Del's potential future with Raquel. If they hadn't run back into each other, he could have ruined everything. This is all Rodney's fault. So maybe some
because he ran out and he should have taken the blame for the car accident, or he should have told Del about what happened. Yeah,
He
so
should
Del
have.
would have known that it was serious, and he'd have been like, I mean, I still think Del would have taken the rap for Rodney. I don't think he would have been like, oh no, it's my little brother you want to talk to. But still, yeah.
Maybe, but
at least he wouldn't have opened a top and been like, get him off.
Yeah, so the crime would have been less serious. And then, I was going to say that this is like revenge for Rodney for a royal flush in a way.
Everything's revenge for a royal flush from now on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Rodney and Victoria were going to be a great couple, but Del destroyed that relationship, so in theory, in a roundabout way, Rodney prevented him getting back there to seal the deal with Raquel.
I must admit, I would have liked to have seen Victoria's reaction coming back to the flat.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, that never had a future. But then, somebody said on IMDb a trivia that when Raquel is leaving the house, that's the Vimmel house from Cash and Curry. I don't think so, because there's no staircase.
I don't think that's the same house.
No.
I'd need to have a look again, though.
I'm pretty sure it's not. And with regards to the end credits, obviously, we've got a difference here, because this is the first time we see produced by Gareth Gwenlyn and directed by Tony Dow in the end credits. So that's a end of an era kind of moment there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I had.
Okay, cool. So if there's nothing else, let's move on to our awards segment.
We've won! What are you going on about, Rodders? We've won!
Okay, let's do it. So, as always, we have 3 awards to announce this week. We will start with Plonker of the Week.
Are you two going to be plonkers for the rest of your lives?
So for Plonker of the Week, we each nominate a plonker and we will discuss and decide who wins. So, dude, who is your nomination for Plonker of the Week for dates?
It's Del, because of the lies, and honestly, I think the way he treats Raquel after he finds out she's a stripper is really wrong. I don't blame him for being angry, but he should have been more angry with his friends. His friends made it so much worse. And what kind of friends laugh at him in that situation as well? Like, they should have all been like Rodney was eventually.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's I just think he took it out on Raquel, and that's really unfair. And she was so lovely to him, and he kept punishing her. I just think just for that part, I think Del is the plonker this week.
I agree that I think Del should actually get the overall plonker award, although what Rodney does is a lot more like classically plonker, like falling for this gag of Mickey Pierce and Jevon, which allowed him to ruin a potentially good match with Neris.
Mm-hmm.
That's really plonkery. But I think if you have to pick one, Del, because he's the one who sabotaged his own relationship, not through any influence of anybody else.
No.
He went ahead and he lied of his own choice, so... Yeah.
Yeah.
Del is Plonker of the Week.
Oh, thanks very much.
pal.
Okay, so we're going to switch it up a little bit for best line and moment. Instead of us just choosing, we're going to nominate and just decide together who wins. So do you have a nomination for best line? Because I actually just wrote a best moment. I didn't even write any best line.
I have 2 nominations for the best line.
Okay.
So the first one, just for the wordplay, is the bum and rack Bucks Fizbo line. I think that is a very good line. And again, clever wordplay, and it's genuinely very funny. And just because I love this, the way it's delivered, it's not the line that's funny. I guess it's the situation. Give that phone.
Yes, that's right. That maybe would be a moment. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the Bucks Fizz line is really great as well. Yeah, you're right.
It's very memorable, and I think most people remember that line.
Yeah, let's give it.
But is that the only one? Don't you have any to nominate?
Well, no, because I forgot. Because I've only nominated. I've only put a moment.
Because I forgot.
Because I'm so sorry. I'm not perfect. Yeah, I actually did. Because I know we said we would change it up when we were recording the last episode, but when I wrote this, I didn't know that. So I've only put a best moment.
That's all right. I usually have some for both. So, I mean, if there aren't any others, we can give it to that line. I think it is a great line.
Yeah, it's so great that it got pulled out of
so.
the Royal Flush and moved into this episode, and it is very memorable. So yeah, let's put that as the best line of the episode.
Yep. And best moment, what would you like to nominate, dude?
I nominated the 2 of them walking away, the long shot under the clock after they meet.
Uh-huh.
But that's obviously poignant moment. It's not like funny, but it's just a memorable moment of after they meet and they start talking about close encounters and stuff.
Yeah.
But if we're going for obviously funny moment, then yeah, maybe the stripper reveal moment when Raquel turns back, and then the van jumping over that hill.
Yeah, Rodney chasing. I put that too.
Moment.
And I also put Del opening the policewoman's shirt.
Yeah. So it's got some really great like moments in it this episode. So yeah, for a comedy moment, yeah, the stripper moment or the van would probably be the best comedy moment.
I feel like the van chasing scene is a stunt, so I feel like we should give it to that just because of all the effort.
Yeah, and we don't have stunt of the week, so all right. So the best moment of this episode is the van appearing over that hill and that huge jump that they do in the van.
And Rodney going,
yeah. Nick Lyndhurst's reaction is absolutely great here. It's so funny, so yeah. All right, we'll do that for best moment.
Okay.
And if there's nothing else, this episode's been quite long, so drink up, we're leaving.
So that about wraps it up for this week. Join us next week when we'll be discussing Series 6, Episode 1, Yuppie Love. Until then...
All together now!
I'm
putting the finger in the woodpecker's hole and the woodpecker said, go, take it out!
Au revoir, listeners. If you like what you hear and want to contact us, you can email us at longlivehookystreetpodcast@gmail.com. All one word, no spaces.
Please like the video and subscribe. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, iHeart, Instagram, Facebook, and please use the link in the description for our Buy Me a Coffee.
Bonjour.